Hello everyone, welcome to Lush and Salty Aquariums. My name is Stefan. Thank you for coming to my channel. Happy New Year if I haven't wished you that in the previous video. And hello to my peeps at Footprints, you know who you are. Okay folks, so new year, maybe some new challenges with the big display tank, 135 gallon freshwater display tank in my dining room and my wife's office and an extension of my fish room here in Chicago at Lush and Salty Aquariums. Maybe some challenges with this big tank. You know, it's about 3 years old, and maybe that's when you enter a kind of midlife crisis with your aquarium. Certainly the soil is completely withdrawn of its nutrients. I have no doubt of that. And I'm not a big fertilizer tab guy. I had a lot of fortified aqua soils in the center. Now, when I set this tank up, I didn't know all the things that I know now. Would I have done things differently? Probably. Not a hell of a lot differently, but probably. But in any event, let me talk about problems in this aquarium as well as interesting observations. And, you know, I'm not complaining. I mean, I'm up for the challenge. Maybe it's time to do some rejiggering. So one of the problems I'm having, and this definitely speaks to the depletion in fertilizer in the soil, is I hardly have any Vallisneria left. What happens is every week I do maintenance, I'll pull on one of these long strands and it just comes right out. It's kind of like when I was losing hair in my 20s and I'm stone cold bald right now. And that just tells me the plant isn't getting what it needs in the soil. You know, Vallisneria, it's no big deal. I could replant a whole group and throw in a bunch of root tabs and Bob's your uncle. But I'm just sort of, November and December were tricky months for me, some health concerns, other stuff. And I just didn't want to deal, to be honest with you. It's all I can do to keep the aquarium clean and running properly and not fart around. But I might have to fart around. So the Vallisneria, number one. Number two, this awesome Echinodorus. You know, I had to cut a whole bunch of those. You can see the cut marks. They were just like completely obliterating my Kessel lights. And they're saying, look at all these new ones. I mean, I just cut like 15. So is that sustainable to keep chopping and hacking and growing and chopping and hacking, especially knowing there's not enough nutrients in the soil? God only knows where that root stock is. It's in between the hardscape. This was more or less an island aquascape, and now it's, you know, it's that, but it's a jungle. So if I'm trying to be like organic and hip and cool, I would say I'm just letting the plants that do well, and I'm not worried about the ones that don't, you know? And I could go with that vibe, but I'm just being real, folks. So the Coriambosa, the Hygrophila, does pretty well for me. There's strands of it here, there, and everywhere in the front and back. Not much rhyme or reason, but it grows. It's not giving me any problems. And I'm a big believer in a lot of plants in an aquarium, especially if you're gonna have a lot of fish. And clearly I have a lot of fish. I've had more fish, but clearly I have a lot of fish. I have lost a few. Some of my rainbows, one by one. Fortunately, my cleanup crew is so bodacious, and I'll get to them. I hardly ever see a skeleton, once in a while, but it's demolished. So it does, you know, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. So is that sustainable, the Echinodorus, the sword plant? I don't know. And now check out this. Look at that rhizome. Is that the rhizome that conquered the moon? I mean, Jesus Christ, excuse me. Sorry if I offended anyone. You see a hack mark there. That is just a stalk. That is like cucumber thick stalk comes all the way out from down in there. It's some kind of a Nubius. It's shooting out. There's a couple teeny leaves there. And you can see it's that kind that has the neat arrowhead. And then there's really big ones you can see shooting up and out, and they're out of the water above the tank. But I think that looks kind of gnarly, not in a good way, and I'm not sure what to do about it. Do I hack it out or just wait for nature, let nature do its thing? So there's that. I generally don't have any problem with cryptocorn. These are common, easy growers here. And you could see also the Taiwan lily, Chinese water lily, although Taiwan and China would probably debate me lumping the two countries together. Still, you could see the root, or I'm not sure if it's a rhizome or some kind of a tuber. It's literally out of the water. Now, it goes all the way down to the bottom. I tried tugging on it. I was gonna replant it. It is in there firm. And it keeps growing and growing. And matter of fact, I put a little one there, and I had a little one somewhere. Oh, there's one in back too. You see back there? So is it reaching out because it's trying to tell me something? Now the Bucephalandra is doing really well. I've got Bucephalandra that's doing even better than that in other tanks. And you can see where when leaves die on these epiphytes, these other Anubias, the spotted algae and then the Plecostomus have at it, and they're ratty, you know. And I've been clipping and trying to constantly garden the F out of this tank, and it's hard chasing it. I'm trying to get a beautiful aesthetic, but I'm also, you know, being real. I've got 11 tanks to manage, and I can't just worry about every single leaf. And I do have a ton of plecos in here, and there's a Farawallacate. You can see him right there. And they all, you know, I only throw in so many wafers, and they have reproduced in here, so I'm counting on them to help me. And if they take a few leaves out and make some look gnarly and crappy, you know, so be it. What am I gonna do? I can't catch those plecos. There's a ton of them. See, I put in a couple wafers here, and now look at the Coreodora circus, the Pleco circus. Look at all the different kinds I have in here. You see an albino, you see, I forgot what that one's called, Paleatus maybe. There's a typical bronze. Nothing crazy. I've got a bunch of Adolphi Coreodora in here, and I've got a stir-by-cat, a number of them. By the way, I found a dead stir-by-cat floating the other day, and I pulled it out, and it's pectoral spine punctured. You know, it just barely pricked my hand. Man, it stung like a bee sting. So, and then my hand kind of was numb for a couple hours, so be careful. And it was dead, and it was still actively producing toxin out of its spine, the common stir-by-cat. So everybody's got them now, so be careful. And this one was deceased. There's just a mug only a mother could love. My rabbit snails, although they only lay one baby at a time, they lay a miniature replica of itself at a time, they have reproduced considerably. I'm passing over a few of them right now. And I've got, look at, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See these two guys? Dun, 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 dun. Wonderful snail, but before you know it, a snail that's not supposed to overpopulate is frankly overpopulating. I gave 3 to my mother today. I just grabbed 3 out and took them to her aquarium. Got a mystery snail here, probably another one there. I'm not having any problem, I think, with the classic schooling tetras, the cardinals and the harlequin rasboras. I've lost rainbow fish though. I've got a couple beautiful praycocks. I think there's only 3 in here, and I've got 2 big old boss Bosemani from 2 different origins. You can see the red and versus the yellow or orangish back fin. They're both the same species, but from a different origin point. But that's it. I used to have a lot more of those. The angelfish are doing great. I've passed over a bunch of them. I've got a group of 6, I think, and there's every week a different pair spawns on one of these big Anubias leaves, usually. It could be on either side of the tank, but that's where the leaves are to their liking. There's a nice shot with the little bit of the shimmer from the Kessel. I don't get much shimmer if all those darn leaves block it, so that's one of the reasons I've been rethinking this Flying V, which I've loved for 3 years, but now that I've hacked at it, it's not quite as awesome, I should say. Oh, there's a female Bosemani back there. Good. Give something for the boys to think about. But it's been tricky. I've got things going on here. Find a little auto sinkless right there. When you have a big tank, you can discover fish over and over again that you just don't see every minute, and then there they are. Got some of those Kohaku swordtails, right? There's one right up there. Or do you call them kois? The mollies and the other fish are all from babies that were in other tanks. I've talked about that. I tried to feed the fries. 80% of them got eaten, 20% escaped and grew up in my fish tank. There is a German sword that, or a Hamburg swordtail that is the same story there. I did not put that fish in there as an adult. And this grouping, this mass is all about a couple algae wafers I threw down there. But now I see the foot of look at that bright orange foot of the rabbit snail, and then of course all the cories trying to get in there. So I'm not complaining, but I am sort of wondering and slightly worrying about what 2026 should look like for this tank. What do you guys think? I've asked a few questions. I'm not fishing, so to speak. I sort of don't know what to do. Stay the course, do the best I can, let nature take its course, to repeat the word, or hack out this cucumber, maybe, where is it? There it is. Or pull out, just redo the tank. Now, can you imagine what a project that would be? 135 gallons. I would never redo. I would just probably lay some new fresh aqua soil, pull out a lot of the janky plants, and go from there. By the way, the sump is so full of life, it's crazy. Let's just take a peek before we split. I mean, guys, look at this refugium. It's crystal clear though. It's doing its job. All those roots from the water sprite and the pothos acting as yet another filter for this aquarium, in addition to the biomedia, which there's just a ton in there, and then the stack of sponges. And there's a lot of fish and invertebrates. And I didn't even get to the shrimp, and they're mostly down there because they're not gonna fare so well up here, although I know in these nooks and crannies are the monster amanos, and they do come out. I see them especially at night. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please do comment, like, and subscribe. As always, keep your hands in the tank, albeit carefully, and ciao for now.